Francisco, the city's so nice you'll step in twice. There's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet. And this wasn't some magic toilet that catches your phone when you drop it. It's no wonder that in 2021, San Francisco issued only 2,000 permits for new homes. Sure, there are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now.
Bill Maher has once again set his sights on San Francisco, delivering a harsh assessment of the city's current condition. The outspoken comedian criticized Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Daniel Lurie, arguing that their leadership has contributed to the decline of what was once seen as a thriving urban center. His comments were direct, critical, and deliberately unfiltered. The segment carried a confrontational tone, clearly aimed at sparking discussion about the city's ongoing.
San Francisco in the last few years has seen 11 Walgreens and 6 CVS stores just give up and close because that town seems simply beyond law, which is heartbreaking because I, like so many people, love that city, and I don't think it's corny to admit, yes, I left my heart in San Francisco. Also, my wallet and iPhone.
Maher expresses serious concern about the breakdown of public safety in San Francisco over recent years, and he does not hold back in his assessment. He describes a growing sense of disorder where theft and property crime have become increasingly normalized. In his view, incidents such as shoplifting without consequence and repeated vehicle break-ins reflect a deeper failure of enforcement. According to Maher, these behaviors are no longer isolated events, but part of a pattern that has become routine. He argues that the lack of consistent consequences has contributed to this environment, allowing criminal behavior to escalate, while public confidence in safety declines.
Area citizens have been complaining in recent years about all the human feces in the streets, but now the streets are full of something else. They call it San Francisco snow. It's glass, piles and piles of shattered glass everywhere from car windows being smashed. It's so routine to have this happen to any parked car that people purposefully leave the windows down and the glove compartment open so thieves can see there's nothing of value. Or they leave a note on the car politely assuring the thief that there's nothing worth stealing and please don't break the window.
The situation, in Maher's view, raises an unavoidable question about why such behavior has become so widespread in San Francisco and other parts of California. He points to state policies as a key factor, particularly laws that treat lower-value theft as a minor offense with limited repercussions. Maher argues that this threshold effectively weakens deterrence and signals leniency to offenders. As a result, he claims some individuals take advantage of the system, knowing that enforcement may be inconsistent. He believes this dynamic encourages repeated theft and reduces accountability, ultimately placing law-abiding citizens in business.
What's so disturbing here is not just that there's more crime and mayhem, it's the audacity of it all. Like there's no lines anymore that can't be crossed. Like don't walk on a stage during a live show.
Maher argues that the most troubling aspect of the situation is how openly such behavior now occurs. In San Francisco, he suggests there is little sense of restraint or fear of consequences. Incidents like store theft or car break-ins are carried out in plain sight, almost as if they are accepted parts of daily life. He believes this shift is not accidental, but the result of weakened enforcement over time. As consequences fade, he argues, confidence among offenders increases, leading to more visible and frequent violations. This normalization, in his view, gradually erodes community trust and pushes businesses and
Police still need reform, yes, but we can't just allow them to be hunted and targeted for assassination, as has happened over 100 times in 2021. I know there are big issues behind crime, like income inequality and racism that need to be addressed, but let's not get so wrapped up in becoming great again or building back better that we forget not to become El Salvador.
Maher makes a direct argument for strengthening law enforcement in San Francisco. insisting that public safety cannot be restored without giving police clearer authority and support. He notes that officers continue to perform their duties despite growing political criticism and reduced resources. According to Maher, calls to defund or limit police power have contributed to staffing shortages and lower morale, which in turn weaken enforcement capacity. He argues that when law enforcement is constrained, it creates space for criminal activity to increase. In his view, effective public safety requires empowering police rather than undermining them. Otherwise, the system fails to protect everyday citizens.
San Francisco, the city's so nice you'll step in twice. There's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet. And this wasn't some magic toilet that catches your phone when you...
Maher then shifts attention to the city's sanitation and homelessness issues, describing them as symbols of deeper urban dysfunction. He argues that visible street conditions, including unsanitary waste in public areas, reflect a failure of basic governance. According to him, these problems are widespread enough that residents have become desensitized to them. He links the issue to homelessness policy, suggesting that compassion has too often replaced practical enforcement of public health standards. For Maher, the inability to maintain clean and safe public spaces represents a breakdown in responsibility and seriousness at the city.
And he took pity on San Francisco and offered to build them their toilet for free. But after, quote, project management, construction management, architecture and engineering fees, permits, civic design review, surveys, contract preparation, and cost estimation, the free toilet was still going to cost almost $1 million. You know, if you tack on fees like that, you're not a city, you're an area.
Maher further criticizes what he sees as excessive bureaucracy in San Francisco and across California. He points to examples where simple public infrastructure projects become extremely expensive and slow due to layers of regulations and administrative procedures. Even basic facilities, such as public restrooms, can require extensive approvals, consultants, and prolonged review processes, dramatically increasing costs. In his view, this reflects a system that prioritizes procedure over outcomes. He argues that such bureaucratic complexity prevents efficient problem-solving and allows obvious issues to persist for years without resolution, regardless of funding.
It's like San Francisco is actually proud of being impossible. Asked about the toilet, a spokesman for the Department of Public Works said, "We are a city of public input." Okay, but I'm stepping in public output. Meanwhile, the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building. You need 87 permits. 15 from the Planning Commission, 26 from the Public Utilities Commission and the Fire Department, 19 from building inspectors, 17 from the Public Works, 10 related to public spaces, and 1 from a guy in a t-shirt that says federal inspector.
Maher ultimately argues that San Francisco has become difficult to manage due to long-standing political and administrative failures. He claims that leadership at both the city and state level has created systems that slow down development and obstruct progress. According to him, housing projects, infrastructure improvements, and basic services are repeatedly delayed by regulatory barriers and procedural requirements. This, he suggests, results in a city where problems are widely acknowledged but rarely resolved. Maher's central criticism is that governance has become focused on process and ideology rather than practical results, leaving the city stuck in ongoing